Hi, this is Jennifer from Healing Relations PR. So my love for monastic buildings began with the introduction of Sir Walter Scott's novel Ivanhoe, which was successfully adapted into a Hollywood epic. This was set in 12th century England, and yes, I fell in love and began my interest with all the romance and medievalism. But it was the Holy Clerk of Coppenhurst volunteering that truly amazed me. He even offered refuge to the Black Knight after learning about the captives from Robin of Locksley, which we now know as Robin Hood. Maintaining a religious building requires a lot of work, especially if the sole purpose is to serve the community. What about the work undertaken many years ago on the outside? For example, there's stained glass windows which involve both art and craftsmanship. This requires the artistic skill to conceive an appropriate and workable design, and the engineering skills to assemble the pieces together. This window must fit snugly into space for which it is made for, and it must resist the wind and rain, and also many large windows have also withstood the test of time and remained substantially intact since the late Middle Ages. There's also the nave, which is prominent in a Romanesque and Gothic Christian abbey. The nave is the main body of the church. It provides a central approach to the high altar. The nave of a church, whether Romanesque or Gothic or classical, extends from the entry of the building. The cloisters are one of the busiest parts of the monastic precincts. They were used by the monks for meditation and exercise, besides providing access to the main monastic buildings. The modern English term is used in contemporary Catholic Church law to mean cloistered, and cloister is sometimes used as its associated name for monastery. The attachment of a cloister to a cathedral church, commonly against a warm or southern flank, usually indicates that it is, or once was, part of a monastic foundation, forming a continuous and solid architectural barrier that effectively separates the world of the monks from the work of people. Who would believe that a devil's door is still popular, especially its structural features found in the north wall of some medieval and older churches in the United Kingdom? They are particularly common in the historic county of Sussex, where more than 40 extant churches have one. They have origins in the early Christian era, when pre-Christian worship was still popular and were often merely symbolic structures, although was sometimes often merely used as a genuine entrance. The priory's garden is usually flanked by yew trees. There will be many green areas for relaxation. You may hear the elegant creek, a large pond travelling mutely throughout the village. The courtyard is a place for reflection and provides an ambience that is truly unique. What spoils it is a busy sound of lorries and cars, because no matter what's going on the outside and around, it is still a place of refuge and strength, and a place to forget what you've left behind. At the time of the dissolution in 1539, the monastic buildings were demolished, but the abbey churches survived to become the parish church. It was the black canons who took over these buildings, where they pursued a life of service and worship. Today, the priory church will still serve the local community as a place of worship, unless it's been converted into a private home for domestic use. History states that the abbey offered looting and destruction during the dissolution. Monasteries and friary gardens were also suppressed in the reign of Henry VIII. Churches were founded in major cities in the Roman Empire in the second half of the 1st century. The Mother Church, as it was known, was at Jerusalem, but the destruction of the city by the Rome in AD 70 by the Roman ended its reign. The church at Rome gained some eminence because it was located in the capital of the empire, but until 313 the churches were either persecuted or ignored by the imperial power. The Emperor Constantine published the Edict of Milan in 313, giving Christianity legal status. By the end of the century, it had become the state of religion. Alliance with the imperial power gave the church great authority, and from that day forward persecuted its enemies relentlessly in an effort to maintain and enhance its position.